Have you thought about marriage and about starting a family? How would you mix your work on YouTube in with fatherhood? The bottom line is, if I did start a family, right? If I did start a family, it would have to be cut down on YouTube. And in fact, YouTube would be a lot less gaming and a lot more vlog style stuff where I show you, gee, what is it like to have a kid and to raise a kid and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it would be tough because right now, as I've already said, my time is booked. A day that I don't work is a day that I don't make money and I can't pay my bills. So where am I going to get the time to raise a kid? And that's kind of it's not a predicament, I would say. It's kind of the life that I've chosen for myself. That is the balance. Because I am my own boss, because I'm not expendable, unfortunately, it means that I have to forego some stuff. And right now, I'm 33 years old. And, you would think if you're early 30s, this is the time. If you're going to start thinking about having kids, this would be the time that you would think about it and do it. And right now, it's not even a blip on my radar. Because at this point, my focus is to keep the stuff going consistently, to keep a successful business, to expand the business if I can, to pay off all of my debt. And then after all that, once that's settled, now I could think, okay, I sold the place in Connecticut that I don't need anymore. I don't have that dragging on me anymore. And the financial issue's over. Now maybe I could consider the next step. And I can't. I haven't even got there. You know what I mean? I'm not even at that step yet where I could start to think about having a family. I'm just not. And that is if I'd started YouTube earlier, if I were younger when I started my YouTube career, maybe I would be in a good position. I'm not. And, that's the bottom line. I'm not in a position to start thinking about a family or anything like that at this point. I may in the future, but right now it's off the table. I don't know too much about Notch. I mean, I don't know if he has a wife or kids or whatever. But, for me, personally, a lot of people ask me this question. They say, Phil, would you ever have kids? And the answer is, yeah, I would consider it. But the bottom line is it would be so irresponsible for me to consider it because I'm not in the position of this person who asked me the question. I'm not financially stable. Right now, things could go crazy but wrong. YouTube could close down overnight and I have zero income. I just had my contract renegotiated with Machinima and I have no idea if I'm going to even be able to do YouTube full time for the next year. I don't know. Everything is up in the air and uncertain. Now imagine if I have a kid. Now, how am I going to promise that kid a stable life where I'm going to be able to take care of them and pay for things and raise them and give them a safe and fair environment and the same things that other children around them have, when in reality, I don't even have a real stable income, right? That would be very irresponsible of me. So for me, the whole thought of raising a family outside of just myself and my girlfriend Leanna is kind of out of the question right now. Because right now I'm 33 and I'm starting to realize, sadly, people ask me over the years I've been doing YouTube, will I ever have a family? I'm like, it's starting to be that age where if I don't have a kid in the next, say, 10 years, I won't be able to raise them. I'll be too old. So really right now, it's kind of for me, I'm in a situation where I don't even have that flexibility. Anonymosaurus Rex did a 25-bit cheer says, have you ever wanted kids? A little Phil running around. Well, I won't lie. It's not like I've never thought, it might be nice to have a kid. Okay. I've thought about it in the past. I thought about, would it be nice to have a kid? But I've never been in a situation where it made sense. When I had my office job, I wasn't in a relationship with anyone. I wasn't really ever with anyone. And then when I finally was with someone, my ex-girlfriend, we were in a situation where we wanted to live together and have a better life before we even thought about that stuff. And then when we finally made it happen, financially, everything fell apart. YouTube fell apart, the trolling, this horrible shit happened to us that made it so that I ended up being in so much debt. It didn't make any sense. And now, sadly, there's no way I could have a kid now. You know how irresponsible it would be if I had a kid right now with the amount of debt that I have and everything, and the fact that my job is completely unstable and shit. That would be horrendous. That would be really irresponsible. At this point, I'm certainly not thinking about it. But it's not that I've never thought about it. But sadly, I'm 35 years old. I'm getting to the point where if I was going to have a kid, I need one soon. It's not looking good. It's just not. Real talk, it's not looking like it's going to happen. I'm getting too old for it, and I don't have money for it. And I wouldn't want to raise a kid in an unstable, household where I couldn't promise him a good living, a good life, get him a good education. That wouldn't be right. And Conan the Barbarian did a cheer and said, when is it too old to have children? Well, that's, again, subjective. You're talking about 40, because you got to basically raise that kid till they're an adult. So, if you're thinking, if you're 40 and you have a kid, and you're going to raise them till they're 18, 20, till you have to live till you're 60. When you're 60, you start to get old. You start to get sick. A lot of you, that's retirement age and shit. So, I'd probably say 40, 45 would start to be the very, very, very big limit of, how old. Then again, do you want to leave a kid behind at 18 years old and their parents die because they're elderly? See what I mean? Yolo Dopper says, I have a kid coming in the way and my income is nowhere near stable. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow. I'm certainly not saying my choices have to be yours. Everyone has the right to make judgments for themselves. I'm just telling you, personally, my belief is that unless I was myself financially stable, I would feel incredibly irresponsible having a kid. That's just me. That's my own personal feeling inside or whatever. And since my job is not financially stable, I wouldn't do it. I can't have a kid and next thing you know, oh, well, I can't make money on YouTube or Twitch anymore. Now I can't get a job. So now I can't pay for the kid to go to fucking school. I can't get to go to the doctor. You know what I mean? No, I'm not going to do it, man. Constantly going from place to place because I can't afford a place to live. Not doing it. And listen, bottom line, guys, if things keep going as positive as they've been, that would not be the situation I'm in. But the thing is, we have to keep that up, which it is. Don't get me wrong, it is. So I'm very happy. 2 months here already into 2018, I'm still doing pretty good. But there's no telling what might happen. There's no telling. So, how could I, as a responsible adult, say, I want to raise a child? Oh, by the way, I have no idea if I can pay my taxes. I have no idea if I can pay my bills. I don't know if I'm going to make a lot of money or no money tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy. And it's one thing if you're taking responsibility just for yourself and or a significant other and you guys work together to figure that out. And it's a very different story when you're bringing another party into that. You know what I mean? At this point, and by the way, I'm not even saying that I want kids because I've never been in my life. I don't think I've ever really sat down and thought seriously about it. I think if you're going to have kids, you don't think about it until you're in a situation where you can actually support it. And I really don't feel that I've been in a consistent enough situation in the past 10 years where I would ever even sit down and say, oh, yeah, I want kids or I don't. It doesn't even make sense, right? I really don't have any crazy desire to raise a child. I don't. I know some people do. They're like, man, my whole life I've always wanted to have a kid. I've never had that feeling. I've never had that parental kind of drive that I must have progeny and I must pass on the genes. I really could care to give two shits. I just don't care about that at all in any way, shape, or form. Quite frankly, with the amount of negativity and trolling and stuff that I put up with on a daily basis, I mean, we had some of it earlier on stream. People already talking about what's the new drama that people invented about Phil to spill all over the fucking internet that is completely stupid and untrue, but let's just keep propagating it and talking about it since nothing's going on with him anymore because he ignores it, right? So how could I? Would that be fair to a kid? Can you imagine a kid growing up, the son of DSP, and now constantly being bombarded with negativity and shit? So can you imagine now bringing a kid into the mix? That's insanity. I would never do, you know what I mean? That's just nuts. At this point in my life, I'm about to be 36 years old. I have no idea if I'm ever going to have job security or financial security. No. I'm really not in any situation where I'm considering having a kid at all, period. All right? And I don't think I ever will. I really don't realistically see that ever changing. That's just kind of, right now, I like being with my girlfriend. We're building a life together. We're having a lot of fun, experiencing things together for the first time and building our lives together. And I think that's going to be my focus moving forward. Having just a fun and positive life and, and that's that. Now, some people, it's in the cards, kids. Some people it's not. I guess for me, it's not. I received a couple tips. I got a tip from Talk Like a White Girl from California, who tipped me $1. Says, you've been wearing this cowboy hat for all this time. You haven't sang a single verse from Old Town Road. Plus, really don't sell yourself short. Have a kid. What about Kat? This is you want a kid. I've already explained this a million times. We don't want kids. We've talked about it. We don't want kids. It's not that I don't want, I can't have one, or, we actually don't want kids. We talked about it seriously. We made before we got married, we made this decision together. We just don't want children. Polish Frog says, are kids out of the question because of my financial situation, or is it something you wouldn't want to do regardless? I would say both. Like, number one, there's absolutely no way I could have kids. I can't afford it. I wouldn't be able to raise a kid. And without basically trying to qualify for a ridiculous amount of government assistance and stuff, there's no way I could ever raise a kid. And with the amount of money that I make, despite the fact that I have a ton of debt in my name and it's not disposable income, but the amount of money that I make, I wouldn't qualify for any government programs to raise a kid. Okay? So it's kind of out of the question regardless what I think. Now, as for my personal feelings, I feel that if I was going to be a father, I would have been much earlier in my life, maybe like, you know, anywhere between 5 to 10 years ago. That would have been the perfect time for it. I don't know how, even though people still pull this off, I don't know how I could be like 60, 70 years old and be having a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, right now I'm 37. If I were to have a kid today, in 20 years when he's 20 and just starting off on their own, I'd be, you know, hitting 60, retirement age, right? When that kid is off, ready to start a family, I'd be about to die, you know? So I think it'd be like, I kind of missed the boat on that. I would have had to have been younger, even though I agree with you guys that actually a lot of people are having kids much later in their lives now. That's kind of a thing, a running trend in the United States in particular. I think I kind of missed the boat. And quite frankly, and this is just me being very honest, I never really had a time in my life where I had like a big desire to have kids. Some people do. Some people, they have this like, man, I can't wait. One day I want to have my kid of my own and I want to raise them to be a, you know, have a family and they can pass on my legacy and all that. I've never really had that desire ever in my life. Never. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have. I said for whatever reason, it just never happened to me. I never felt, man, I want to be a father and so have someone that I can raise or whatever. Now, maybe I don't want to hate to say this, but maybe to some extent, that has to do with the fact that I have an internet presence. So bear with me for a minute here. Maybe because every day I get to talk with you guys publicly and share my opinions and let you know about stuff in my life and give you life experience stories and try to give you guys good advice based on mistakes and things that I've made in my life. Maybe I kind of feel somewhere in the back of my head that like I have helped people and passed on the knowledge that I have through my daily streams and through these videos that are immortalized forever on the internet. And because of that, maybe I don't worry about, man, I need to have a kid so I can pass all that knowledge on, because I already have, okay? Maybe I'm completely off base here, right? But maybe there's some people out there who they don't have a following like me. They don't have an internet presence, so they feel like the only way they're ever going to be remembered or the only way that they're ever going to have anything that they've learned in their life pass on to be a useful experience for someone else is if they have a kid to pass it on to, right? I'm not in that situation whatsoever. So, and no, I'm not calling you my kids. What I'm saying is, you are the people who, on a daily basis, I interact with and pass my knowledge on to. So I kind of have that thing already, where it's not like I don't feel like my life is being wasted. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't feel like my life is going to waste, or that things that I've learned are not going to be used, because I kind of share that stuff with you guys. It's amazing to say that, because a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people go their whole lives without anyone to really talk to or share stuff with, and that's really sad. But that's not my situation. I'm very lucky. Very, very lucky to have what I have on the internet. Okay? I know that. Excuse me. He says, no hate. You have to understand why people may not believe you don't have a kid. You lied about your firstborn for over a year. I don't have a firstborn. You mean my cat? That was for good reason. Just like the same thing with my wedding and everything. It's called personal fucking protection. Because people take all the personal information they have about me and they use it against me in a very disgusting, negative light. They make up controversies. They make up disgusting rumors and nasty shit about me constantly. I can't tell you guys about my personal life. I'm sorry. There was a time when I used to love to do that. I can't anymore. But I don't have a kid. I don't have a fucking kid. Minstar Ruin. No, he says, if you did have a kid, what would you name him? Do you have any names thought up? No. I never once in my life did I fathom a name of a kid, because I never had plans to have a kid. So, no, I have no idea. Thank you for the cheer, though. Mr. Beast, tip me $1.50. So if you have kids right now when you're 60, you can pass that legacy to your son. He can continue to stream. He'll listen to a father-son gameplay session. Not me. Not me. I don't want to fucking do that. No, that's terrible. Terrible idea. Gutter Runner just did a super chat. So who's going to help you bring happiness when you get older if you don't have kids? What about if you pass before a cat who will help her cope? I'm sure she'll have to figure out how to get by, right? I don't know. Why would she need kids to help her cope? How does that work? I don't even think that's the case, right? By then, you kids have moved on to have their own life. They don't care. Put you in a home, right? Toss you in a fucking old folks' home. Right?